Hello again and welcome back to another session of Commerce class with me Suman Rathore. Friends, statutory corporations are another way of organizing public sector enterprises. It is a body corporate set up by a special act of parliament or state legislature, and the act defines its objects, powers and functions. It is an autonomous body fully financed by the government and is set up with the main motive to provide service to the society. To understand the concept of statutory corporations in detail, let's focus on its characteristics. So first is formation. Statutory corporations are established under a special act of parliament or state legislature, and this act defines its objects, powers and functions. The act also defines its relation with the government. Second is separate legal entity. Statutory corporations have separate legal entity independent of the government. It can own property, make contracts and file suits in its own name. It is actually a body corporate with a perpetual succession and a common seal. Next is financial autonomy. As it is a public enterprise, so its initial capital is provided by the government, and it can also borrow funds from the public if required. But as the time passes by, it becomes a self-sufficient enterprise and carry on its activities by its own resources. Next is managerial autonomy. Statutory corporations are managed by the board of directors appointed by the government, but there is no government interference in its day-to-day working. It is free to do business without any governmental, constitutional or legal restrictions. Next is service motive. The main objective of statutory corporation is to serve the community or public. However, as it is a business enterprise, it is expected to earn reasonable profits. Next is own staff. A statutory corporation has its own staff. Its employees are not government employees, and their appointment, remuneration and service conditions are decided by the corporation itself, and the service conditions of its employees are given under the Act also. Next is public accountability. Statutory corporations enjoy financial autonomy and frame its own budget, yet it is fully accountable to the parliament or state legislature, and the accounts of statutory corporations are audited by Comptroller and Auditor General. Now, statutory corporations enjoys certain advantages in its working, which are: first is operational autonomy. The day-to-day working or operations of statutory corporations are free from political interference. And being an autonomous body, it is free from undesirable government regulation and control. As such, it works in a more enterprising and flexible way. Second is quick decisions. As statutory corporations are free from undesirable government interference, decisions can be taken quickly as per the requirement of the market and situation for the benefit of the enterprise and general public. Next is financial autonomy. Statutory corporation has financial autonomy as it does not rely on the budgetary allocations of government. It can borrow money from the public to finance expansion programs without any delay. Further, it is also free to use the surplus in a desired manner for the benefit of the enterprise. Next is efficient management. The directors and top executives of statutory corporation are the professionals and experts of the field, and the enterprise is free to formulate the terms and conditions of appointment of its employees. As changes in government do not affect its stability, it can take long-term policy decisions to run the enterprise in a business-like manner. Next is motivation. The service conditions of employees of statutory corporations are better than those of government servants. There is greater incentive for hard work and performance, and attractive terms of service and better amenities motivates employees to work efficiently. Next is Instrument of Economic Development. Statutory corporation is a valuable instrument for economic development. It has the power of government combined with the initiative of private enterprises for the proper socio-economic development of the country. But over the period, statutory corporations have lost the spirit due to certain limitations, like first is theoretical autonomy. The autonomy of statutory corporations exists only on the papers. In actual practice, ministers and politicians interfere in the internal management of the corporation. Approval of projects and dispersal of funds always depends on approval from government and bureaucrats. Next is inflexibility. Statutory corporations are set up under a special act which defines its objects, powers, and functions, and any change in these objects and powers is a time-consuming and cumbersome process. Next is neglect government policies. Danger of losing freedom makes statutory corporations neglect government policies, even though they are in public interest. Next is abuse of monopoly. A statutory corporation may misuse its monopolistic power to exploit consumers. Actually, just to cover its inefficiency, they indulge in antisocial practice and charge unfair prices from consumers. Moreover, there is corruption at every level in statutory corporations. Next is misuse of financial autonomy. Statutory corporations can take loan from various financial institutions. Sometimes heavy loans are taken to meet its financial problems. These loans later becomes a heavy burden on their existence. So, statutory corporation is a combination of public ownership, public accountability and business management for public ends. It enjoys the powers of government together with the initiative and flexibility of private sector. That's all for today. Thanks for staying in tune and don't forget to like and subscribe my channel. Thank you and goodbye for now.